My babes, I always giggle when I'm waiting for a live to start because it's so funny to me. I am sunburnt, but we're going to do this anyway. So I've never done a live at this time of the day, so let's see what happens. If you're tuning in, give me a little aloha, and if you're watching the replay, also give me a aloha and let me know how you go with this. So I just wanted to jump in and talk about stories, so your Instagram stories. So let me know if you regularly do stories and if you regularly promote on your stories. So do you regularly do stories and do you regularly promote? Stories, I don't even know where to begin. It's so important. I was just having this conversation with someone. I was like, I must come on a live and talk about this. So I want you to think of stories in like two parts. One is that stories are great for people seeing like behind the scenes and building like the energy with someone and credibility and trust and all these beautiful things. And they're also a great place to sell. Stories sell. So if you're listening right now, how often do you promote in your stories per week? Yay, Abby, we're talking about stories. You inspired me. So it's really important that you're remembering to promote. So actually have a think about how much in a week you do promote in your stories. And then I want you to think about if you do things like polls or question boxes and all these cool things I've been posting about, and you're like, no one votes in my polls, Adriana, or no one puts things in my question boxes. I want you to think of your audience like a puppy. So if you're training the puppy to do the things. So when you first get a puppy, it's not really doing all the things you want it to do, and you got to like train it. The same with your audience. So the more you do polls, the more you do question boxes that are relevant and easy to vote or be in, the more your audience will do those things. So I like to think about if I'm doing polls or question boxes to make sure they're in the middle of the screen, not like off to the side, not with you talking and then you chuck a little poll, front and center, easy to vote in, easy to put the question box in, all the things, because you want to make it as easy and effortless for your audience as possible, almost a no-brainer. So same thing with the types of questions you're asking or the types of polls you're doing, make them a no-brainer. So if your story views are low, I would say that it probably doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And this is why. You would rather good quality people than all the people. However, if you feel like, well, I should have, or my following's quite high, I feel like there needs to be more people in this ratio, the ratio's off, then I hear you. I want you to focus on, I'm going to say something generic and then I'm going to like correct it. Better quality stories content. So it's so generic, right? But if you're getting low views, it's probably because something in there isn't feeling super interesting. So the way I like to think about it is the first story slide. Let me know if this lands for people. The first story slide is like your lifestyle or lots of value or something that feels inspiring, something that people feel like they're a part of, like your behind the scenes, like they're part of your world. That's what you want to create. Or they're feeling really inspired, or the word I love is activated. Like I want my audience to feel activated like when they watch my stories. So that's kind of for your first slide, and maybe one of your earlier on slides is like some polls or question boxes or things like that. And then as they go through, you might, promote and share other things. But you want to think about, would I be excited to watch these, and are they actually valuable for my audience? So I have a whole strategy that I teach behind doing your stories and a whole checklist I share and things like that, because it's a really, really important part. So if you're just using your stories to be like, here's a meme that I saw, here's someone else's reel, you're missing the point. Like, it's meant to be about you. It's your behind the scenes. It's almost like your own little, I heard someone say it's like your own little reality TV show. And it actually is. Like, I loved that perspective. So hopefully that feels helpful as well. If you're listening in now, I asked before, how many times do you promote your offers per week? Or when's the last time you promoted? I always find this super interesting. Any questions, just drop them in as well. Abby, you just dropped in, would you ever recommend removing ghost followers or people who don't really engage? Absolutely not. Instagram really does not like you doing this. It can mark you as a bit of a spam account. It can mark you as other things. So whilst your follower to engagement ratio does matter for Instagram, it's also something they don't love happening. And I also think it's just a little bit of a waste of time as well. So absolutely, I wouldn't do it. I would just focus on getting more good quality people in there and maybe touching base with the people who are kind of around, who you think could be a potential client, and maybe just building some connection and relationship with them. Not necessarily so they buy straight away, but so they can kind of just be more in your world. I hope that helps. Aligned Soul said, I usually remove. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's just, you could be spending your time, your valuable time on so many other things, like connecting with who is there, doing lives, building other things. So that's usually my theory on that. Yeah, that was my main rant that I came on here for today, to be honest. But if there is anything else, chuck it in. I would love to answer them as well. But yeah, your stories matter. They're a really important part of your business Instagram's ecosystem. They are a great place to sell. If they're not a place that's selling for you, it shows that there's probably things that need to be refined. I would definitely think about unique polls. I would think about, when I say unique polls, I mean things like, let's use fitness for example. It would be things like, did you, really easy things to answer. Have you worked out this week? Have you worked out today? If not, is it because XYZ? If yes, is it because XYZ? So that's a cool one, Abby, if you're still there. That could be really easy to apply to your own niche, because then those polls like, yeah, I want to be part of that. That's easy. I want to talk about how I worked out, yesterday. And then same with question boxes. So if you're like an intuitive business, I did a reel about this recently, you'd share things like, drop an emoji for a card or things like that. So you want to try and really be almost like simple, almost so simple that it's like, is that boring? But it's not boring. Katie asked, how many times should we quote unquote sell our offer on our stories? Girl, you're about to learn all about this. But I would say, as a general rule of thumb, more than you think. So there's different theories out there in the Instagram world. Some people are like fans of not really selling at all and then just doing it that way. I'm a fan of selling and telling people, this is this amazing thing I have. Do you need it? I have the answer to your problem. Do you want it? It's up to you. I'm a big fan of earlier in business selling every second day. So when you're earlier on, every day can feel like a lot. At the moment, I'm in a launch for my 6-week program by the end of the year. If anyone is interested. And I would say that I'm selling that pretty much every day, and that's really building a lot of awareness. The other reason I'm selling it every day is because imagine someone new finds me and they click to watch my stories in that 24 hours. I want them to be able to see what the option is, but I'm not selling it in the same way in my stories every day. So I'm not like, hi, this is what's included. This is what you'll learn. Like, I'm trying to mix up the types of selling I'm doing in there so it stays interesting and activating for my audience. So that's what I'm doing with promoting, selling. Hope that helps. Amazing, my loves. And I think there's this percentage guide, and it says like, I think it's like 5% of your audience, of your followers, should be 5% of your followers should be watching your stories. So it's not really that high. So for example, gosh, I'm going to try and do some maths and see if I get this right. So I think if you have like 1,000 followers, if you had like 100 people watching, that would be like considered a decent amount. So it doesn't have to be a crazy amount. You would prefer like loyal people there doing a thing. It's also another thing I heard that could be really helpful that I've practiced. Like if your feed posts are good, the better your feed posts are, the more likely people will be to keep watching your stories. So because they just want all these hits of value. So I make sure to tick off everything. So like, am I delivering value? Am I sharing behind the scenes? Am I sharing testimonials? Like how many people forget to share testimonials? I know I used to as well. So, you know, are you doing all these types of things? So as you can see, there is a lot that comes into, thanks for the love guys, by the way. There is a lot that goes into stories. There is a lot that goes into getting engagement. I think about my stories a lot. It's something I set time aside for, like literally on my list. It's there every day. It's something I treat like a little bit of like art and love in the corner of my Instagram. It's something that I want people to feel a certain way, you know, when they're looking at them. So I hope you enjoy my stories. And it's something I care about. I think it's a really important part of your business. Does the level of views really matter? Would I get caught up about it? No. But would I keep trying to figure out what your audience wants to hear from you? Yes. And I'm not a fan of like too much, I call it like rambling on there, or too much drawing stuff out. Kind of get to the point. People want to like see and consume. Yeah, it is 4:44 p.m. here where I live, and that is pretty cool. So I hope this was useful. If you're still here, I would love to know what you took away from this deliciousness, or if you're listening to the replay, let me know what was helpful, or if you have any questions, that's cool too. So in my 6-week program coming up, I am teaching a whole module on stories and a whole week dedicated to getting better at sharing and selling on our stories, aka not being boring on stories. So I'm very excited to deliver this. If you want to know more about my 6-week program, it's to end the year. It's all about ending a year with a bang. You know, the possibility of having a biggest cash month at the end of the year is so possible. But anyway, if you want to know more, just DM me the word interested and I will chitty chat to you about if it makes sense for you. Otherwise, I hope this was valuable. I hope even just in this little nugget, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to go apply that thing. And remember, it's not about doing it once. It's not about being like, but I posted my polls and no one voted yesterday. It's like, cool, do it again next week. Cool, do it again the week after. And do it for your audience. Do it because you care about them more than anything. That's me. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Katie. I'm so excited. If you need anything, excited to hear from you all. And I can't remember if I was going to say anything else. So that's that. Yay! Glad it was so good. Yay, 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 yay. Bye, honeys. Mwah. I never end these.